What's up, y'all? Y'all already know it is the Hope Vitamin. I am your official doctor on today to give you the prescription that you need. And so listen, I want to talk to you real quick. I want to look at this scripture, Isaiah the 43rd chapter, verses 18 and 19. It says, and I'm reading from the Message version, forget about what's happened. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert, be present. I'm about to do something brand new. It's bursting out. Don't you see it? Listen, y'all, I want to talk real quick. If y'all don't mind, I want to give you a prescription. And if I had to name this prescription and tell you to go pick it up from CVS or Giant or wherever your pharmacy is, I'd tell you that you need to pick up The Last Dance. That's what I want you to go get. I'm prescribing to you The Last Dance. Listen, for the past 5 weeks, sports enthusiasts and casual fans alike have found themselves shutting down everything and everybody around 8:55 p.m. Sunday nights. Without any sports being played during this pandemic, it was the one night where we could watch something that at least gave us a taste of what we've been missing. By 9 p.m., TVs across the world were tuned into ESPN to watch back-to-back episodes of the sports documentary on Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls called The Last Dance. Now, pretty much everybody knows my stance on who I think the GOAT is. And y'all know why as well. I not only watched firsthand Jordan throughout his career, but my little brother Shaka recently reminded me while we were watching the episode, and he told me, he said, you know what? You used to have a Jordan-like mindset. And now I'm not trying to say that I had skills like Jordan. That's not what I'm trying to say. But ball players know what I mean when I say a Jordan-like mentality. In other words, that's the kind of mindset that would not allow anyone or anybody to think they could just punk or bully you out on the court. Yeah, that was me. I was that guy. And I had to admit that watching The Last Dance was almost like reliving those days all over again. And it reminded me of all the battles that I had on playgrounds in Apple Grove and all the battles I had on college courts and basketball leagues throughout the DMV. But what I gained, and this is what you have to be clear of, the one thing I gained wasn't necessarily what I learned about Michael Jordan, but it was what I learned about Hall of Fame coach Phil Jackson. The lesson I believe he teaches us is priceless. Phil Jackson was hired by owner Jerry Reinsdorf and general manager Jerry Krause in 1989, and he coached the Chicago Bulls for 9 years. In those 9 years, he helped lead Jordan and the Chicago Bulls to 6, y'all count them, 6 championships, which consisted of 2 three-peats. But what's interesting is that after the 5th NBA championship, the general manager, Jerry Krause, told Phil Jackson that even if you won all 82 games next year, that we're not bringing you back as the coach. It is rumored that the general manager was upset at all the credit that the players and especially Phil Jackson was getting, that he wanted to dismantle the whole team. It's almost crazy to think they had a coach that was bringing the general manager and the entire organization's championship after championship after championship, more championships than they could even put on one hand. But because of jealousy and envy, he couldn't handle it. And I'm saying that because you got to be careful of the people who you think are the ones that want to see you win, because sometimes they're the ones who are being threatened by your winning ways. Matter of fact, there are some people in your life who aren't mad at you because you did them wrong or said something about their mama or cussed out their kids. Nah, they are just upset because every time they look at you, you keep getting blessings on top of blessings. And I'm not even talking about people who are looking from the distance. I'm talking about folks who are right there in some of y'all's circles, people who end up being blessed because you're blessed. But they're so envious and so jealous of what God is doing for you and what God is doing for them through you that they can't even handle it. And so if you'd allow me, I want to share what I believe can help all of us as we take a glimpse at how Coach Phil Jackson handled this adversity. So I'd like to prescribe to all of us for our hope vitamin this morning that we've got to be willing to let go of some old so that we can get what's new. Matter of fact, just tell yourself some old stuff got to go because I see some new stuff up ahead. In the last dance documentary, Phil Jackson and the Bulls did not win 82 games that sixth season, but they did win their sixth NBA championship. The general manager, Jerry Krause, was still going to fire head coach Jackson, but the owner of the Chicago Bulls, Jerry Reinsdorf, stepped in and called Coach Jackson and asked him to stay as the Bulls head coach for the next season. Now, what's interesting is that although he offered him his job back, he still was going to keep the general manager, Jerry Krause, as well. So although he knew how valuable that Coach Jackson was to the organization, he didn't think that he was valuable enough to create a better working environment just for him. But this is why I love the lesson Coach Phil teaches us. He rejected the offer. He then told the owner he thought it would be unfair to the general manager, Jerry Krause, if he came back, and he said, I'm going to take a break. Y'all know Coach Phil Jackson. He was throwing that little Zen stuff at him with that. But what I really thought was interesting is that Coach Jackson refused to continue to lend his gifts and his talents to an owner who would not eliminate the toxicity and the tension that was prevalent between the general manager and Coach Jackson. The owner was unwilling to choose because he was cool with having his cake and eating it too. So not only am I telling you that there are some people who want to get rid of us because of jealousy and envy, but there is another group of people who are even more dangerous because they want to keep us and hold on to us, knowing our value to them, but they still want to keep us in dysfunction. They want us as much as they can. They want to get as much out of us that they can get out of us while not always wanting to return the favor. And if we stay, we end up putting ourselves in harm's way and allowing them to capitalize on us while lowering our own self-worth. But when we truly grasp, listen to this, y'all, the fact of who we are, the purpose we have in life, the contribution that we can make to society, and the legacy that we'll leave behind is all intricately woven together into God's plan, that's when we can live in a peace and a power that no one and nothing can disrupt. And that's how we're able to maneuver through life without letting others define our value or having way too much to say about our daily operations. That's when Jeremiah 29:11 takes hold of our spirit and becomes our life mantra. I know the plans that God has for me, plans to prosper me and not harm me, plans for a hope and a future. That's when Isaiah 43:19 becomes our battle cry. Forget about what's happened. Don't keep going over old history. Be alert and be present. I'm about to do something brand new. Let me just say this, and I don't know who I'm talking to, but the proof is in the pudding. Yeah, that's what I need to say right there. The proof is in the pudding. All that means is that the end results is the mark of the success or the failure of one's efforts. Now remember, I told you that Phil Jackson decided to take a break, and he did. He took a whole year. But guess what? He came back a year later, and he was introduced as the head coach of the LA Lakers. And there was another superstar that was on that team by the name of Kobe Bryant. And all Phil Jackson did while he was there for those 12 years is went to the championship 7 times and won 5 more rings. Did y'all just hear what I said? Because he left Chicago, where he had 6 rings, he then went to LA, did a new thing, and got 5 rings. He is now a Hall of Fame coach, and he is now one of the coaches that only has, he holds the record for 11 rings. But can I tell you about the flip side of that? On the flip side, since Phil Jackson left the Chicago Bulls in 1997, can I tell you how many times they've been to the NBA Finals? Oh yeah, that was crickets y'all just heard. They hadn't been since he left. In other words, I'm trying to get somebody to understand that there are some folks that think that you need them more than they need you. But when you decide to finally leave that old history, that old stuff, and move forward to what God has for you, they're going to realize that the proof is in the pudding. And as long as you trust God, believe in God, and watch God do his work, I guarantee the new thing will be better than the old thing. I don't know what the old thing is. You got to answer that. But I just came by to report the news, but also to inject a hope vitamin in your spirit. Let go of the old and walk into your new thing. It's waiting on you.